You've tried everything to be happy. The morning routines, the gratitude journals, the goals, the trips, the milestones. And sometimes it works, for a while. But then the feeling fades, and you find yourself reaching for the next thing. But what if the reason you aren't happy is because you're trying so hard to be? It sounds backwards, but psychologists, ancient philosophers, and one strange idea called the backwards law all point to the same conclusion. The harder you chase happiness, the further away it moves. Most of us live by an invisible sentence. I'll be happy when I get the promotion, when I find the right person, when I make more money, when life finally slows down. But every when simply becomes another one. You've probably felt it. The excitement of reaching a goal, the brief moment where everything feels right, and then the feeling fades. So maybe the problem isn't that you haven't found happiness yet. Maybe it's that happiness was never something meant to be chased. Because happiness follows a completely backwards law. We spend our lives believing happiness exists somewhere ahead. But science tells a very different story. Psychologists have spent decades studying happiness, and one discovery keeps appearing over and over again. It's called hedonic adaptation. Your brain has an incredible ability to get used to almost everything. You get the promotion. A few months later, it feels normal. You buy the car you dreamed about. Eventually, it's just your car. You find the relationship you've always wanted. One day, even that becomes part of your everyday life. The brain constantly resets. Not because you're ungrateful, because that's what it evolved to do. It keeps looking ahead, always searching for what's next. Which raises a difficult question. If every achievement eventually becomes ordinary, are we looking for happiness in the wrong place? The philosopher Alan Watts spent much of his life exploring this paradox. He called it the backwards law. The idea is surprisingly simple. The more desperately you pursue something, the more you reinforce the feeling that you don't already have it. Every time you tell yourself, "I'll finally be happy when," your mind quietly hears something else. "I'm not happy now." Wanting happiness becomes a constant reminder of its absence. The same is true for confidence. The harder you try to force confidence, the more aware you become of your insecurity. The same is true for love. When love is chased from a place of emptiness, that emptiness becomes even louder. Alan Watts described it with a simple image. When you fight to stay on the surface of water, you sink. But when you stop fighting, your body naturally floats. Some things can only be received, never seized. Thousands of years before modern psychology, philosophers had already discovered the same paradox. The Stoics believed happiness was never the goal. Character was. Virtue was. Living according to your values was. Happiness was simply a byproduct, something that often arrived when you stopped making it your primary objective. It's like trying to hold water in a closed fist. The tighter you squeeze, the less remains. Buddhism reaches a remarkably similar conclusion. Much of our suffering doesn't come from life itself. It comes from our attachment to how we believe life should feel. The constant demand that this moment must be different, happier, easier, more exciting. But when you loosen that grip, life has room to surprise you. The backwards law isn't telling you to stop caring. It's asking you to stop chasing. Instead of asking, "How do I become happy?" try asking, "What kind of life would still matter, even on difficult days?" Because meaning lasts longer than pleasure. And strangely enough, happiness often follows meaning, not the other way around. Here's something to try today. Write down 3 things in your life that already have meaning. Not the things that make you feel good for a moment, the things that would still matter even on your hardest days. Then notice the difference. One list is built on feelings. The other is built on purpose. And purpose has a way of carrying us even when happiness comes and goes. Because maybe happiness was never something to capture. Maybe it quietly appears once you stop trying to hold on to it. So here's the last question. What's one thing you've convinced yourself you need before you can finally be happy?